The Senate today blocking a House-passed bill that would extend parts of the Patriot Act, which is set to expire at the end of the month. The stumbling block, the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' phone records. House Republicans want to end the program, leaving it up to the phone companies instead. But the bill even has the support of the White House, and the Senate is divided. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell breaking from his colleagues. Listen.
This is a high-threat period, and we know what's going on overseas. We know what's been tried here at home. My colleagues, do we really want this law to expire?
Tammy Bruce is a radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Alan Colmes is host of the Alan Colmes Show. All right, Alan, some say renewing Section 215 was critical in keeping us safe. Tammy says nonsense. What say you?
We could never have had a Patriot Act to begin with. The way they name it, like if you're against it, you're not a patriot, never needed it. This is 9/11 is continually used by our government to expand its powers more than it should have, scaring people, saying, oh, if we don't do this, we're going to get attacked. The people who attacked us on 9/11 overstayed their visas. The Patriot Act doesn't even address that. That's what would have prevented 9/11. This expansion of government power since 9/11 is an outrage, and I stand with Rand on his filibuster. I'm glad that he did what he did.
Tammy, why do you think it should go away?
Well, look, this is one provision. It's not the entire Patriot Act, right? And this is a provision that originally sounded reasonable, which is, hey, we need to be able to look a little bit further into emails. At the time it was, or phone calls, people who we know are associated with terrorism. Then it became the literal slippery slope. It became this metadata thing where it was all Americans. And even, look, just a week ago, it was the DOJ's Inspector General who said, there is no evidence and no FBI agent can attest to this having an impact on any case dealing with terrorism. It's never been helpful. They've never been able to use it. Feinstein said a few months ago, there's so much data involved, even on the no-fly list, it has become useless. Right. So this is clearly it needs to go. It's not been helpful, and they can't even pinpoint where it has been.
Since it's such a rarity for you two to agree on the topic, I'm going to have to play devil's advocate. What if somebody were to say that in order for the government to properly commit surveillance based on intelligence, how do you properly track down the bad guys who may be living among us without stepping on our civil liberties, Alan? Let me just get Alan's thought on that.
You're never going to be able to batten down the hatches and put a dome over the country and install martial law to the extent that we're totally 100% safe. In a free and open society, there's always going to be a risk. That's part of what happens with freedom. Like that old great saying, those who sacrifice liberty for safety deserve neither. That's the price of living in a free and open society.
But that's not what this does, though. This is not about an iron dome. I like the House bill, which it says, look, the telephone companies keep the data. It doesn't go to the government. It's something where also the government has to have a warrant specifically about certain individuals, and then they can get the data. I'm all for that. I think most Americans are. What they don't want is to be used as an excuse to collect the data of all Americans. So it's not like all or nothing, Alan.
Well, the House bill is better than the 215 of the Patriot Act. However, we've learned we can't trust the phone companies. They've been too compliant and buckled under usually whenever the government said we want the data. So I don't trust that these big phone companies that have great government interests and want government largesse, that they're going to do the right thing.
Who should be in charge of overseeing, and how do you track this information and make sure that it doesn't get into the wrong hands? This is personal information, telephone numbers
tracking
of
personal
civilians.
information is not keeping us safer. Getting personal information on Americans is not keeping us safer. There's no evidence that has kept America safe since 9/11, or that it would keep America safe going forward.
That's true, but because there's been so much, when you reverse it back down and it goes down to the element of phone number you know is associated with terrorism, you want to see who that phone number has been calling. That's what the new House bill allows, and then you can spread out from there. That's reasonable, but when it's been about collecting everything, it became useless.
If you have
this
a phone
means
number,
it will begin to work and can be useful.
That you suspect could be associated with a terrorist, you can get a warrant. You can get a warrant in 2 minutes with a judge, 24 hours a day. I don't think you need big legislation in order to accomplish what you just said we need to do.
No, actually, that's what the House bill does, and you do need that. And by the way, for all the terrorism we have stopped, it has gone down to people like snitches, old-fashioned police work. We need to weave that back in.
Let me just say,
this kind
you know what? First of all,
Yeah.
phones are a thing of the past. People are on social
Right.
media. I mean, what are you going to do next? You know, grab everybody's Twitter accounts and everybody's Facebook accounts and every
You
other
get the
Instagram.
passwords
I mean,
and-
honestly,
Yeah.
because telephones, yes, but
It's
now
public.
we're thinking
But
more
it's
World
public,
Wide Web here.
Social
and
media
the
is
internet.
public, and the other problem with the Patriot Act, by the way, limited it to landlines. It didn't even address cell
That's
phone
true.
lines.
But
All of these things are key, but when it comes to public media like social media,
Right.
as you're saying, I think fine, go for it. It's
If you
it's
have
in the public
reasonable
anyway.
suspicion, get a warrant. That's the way to do it according to the Constitution.
Yeah. All right. Without tromping on our civil liberties. All
Exactly.
right. Thank you very
Exactly.
much.
Thank you.
Tammy Bruce, Alan Colmes, very good to have
Thank you.
Thank you.